The final scene decoded. I Pet Goat 2 Reloaded, Part 2. Egyptian Mystery Religion. The fall of the harlot and her daughters. Welcome back, family. Let's rock this house. Here we are back on I Pet Goat 2. What we're going to do today is we're going to be breaking down very specific scenes, and we're going to be talking about how these scenes fit with the codes that I found in the heavens. I've been led to, I'm going to have to say it's over 10 near-death experience videos. They just kept dropping in my feed. And at first, I typically don't put a whole lot of attention on the dreams and visions and near-death experiences. I'll listen to them, but I've tended to shy away from a lot of that stuff. Um, but all of a sudden, all these videos just started dropping in my feed. And at first, I would look at them and then go, I wonder what that's all about. Because they had dates that were correlating with my findings and what a lot of the other watchmen are pointing to. Uh, it seems as though we are at a convergence again. This seems to happen at each Jewish festival. I've been doing it myself for years with Hanukkah because I always consider Hanukkah my highest watch time that there is. And it's because of the things that I've been shown through the years. And this goes back many, 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 many years. I've been looking at Hanukkah for over 10 years. And the codes that are associated with Hanukkah, etc., etc. So I began to watch some of these near-death experience videos because of these alignment dates, and I'm sort of in awe. I'm really shocked because typically when these things come in my feed, they don't have dates associated with them. They're just messages about, um, their meeting with Christ in heaven and the messages that they are given before they're sent back. I've been paying attention to a couple different channels with dreams and visions, and like I said, I've been seeing those and watching them here and there through the years. Um, Lots of visions about the moons, etc. But it really didn't put an impression on my heart until just recently. And all of a sudden, these things just kept dropping one after the other, and it seems as though all of these dates are correlating. And in my opinion, when that kind of stuff happens, that it's a sign. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be taking a look at how this iPet Goat video is showing us there is a plan by the elite, what we can call them the deep state. We can call them many, many things, but these are actually the rulers of the underworld. Anybody who makes this out to be the Illuminati or, these rich and powerful people or uh, certain organizations like the Freemasons or the Rosicrucians or, the Catholic Church or the state of Israel or any of these things are actually incorrect because ultimately these are the fallen angels that control everything, and we're shown that in this image here. If you look at the moon here, the partial eclipse that's being shown to us, surrounding this moon is the constellation Draco. And this is projected to us as the image of Leviathan from the underworld. We're also shown this in the the Egyptian Apep, or it's Apophis. And it's very, very important for us to be able to decode the heavens, as we're told in scripture that the signs would be in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. And in my opinion, everything that's happening on the scene right now can be tied to the signs in the heavens. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a long ride. It's impossible for these videos to be done in a quick manner. If you're just looking for dates, then you're at the wrong channel. If you don't have the time, then you're at the wrong channel. Um, if you are in a hurry for answers, you're in the wrong channel. Best to unsubscribe and go somewhere else. This is a deep dive into the things that are happening on the scene. This is the most important time in all of history, and I am going to take my time for the body of Messiah, and we are going to get into the deets. And that means going deep in discussion, and it also means presenting the things that the Father's given me. Now, every time I'm doing my research, it becomes overwhelming because of the amount of stuff that's put into my plate or on my lap, however you want to call it. Um, it becomes overwhelming to my own heart. It becomes overwhelming to my brain. It's like an explosion of information, and I feel the majority of the time that I'm unable to handle the burden of all of these things that are given to me. And then I realize that this is a gift and that it is my purpose. And then I am capable of handling it, and then I go right to work into trying to connect the dots and associate this with the things that the Father wants me to bring forward. And I ask for your prayers to be able to differentiate the truth from the fiction, and there is a war going on for information right now. And unfortunately, so many are being led astray. And I'm going to do my best to, in this video, to differentiate the things that I've been shown that present uh, some very serious things that are going on within the body, or what we would call the church. And I think that it's vital for us to understand how these things are playing out in our world and in the timing of all of these things. So the first place we're going to start is here. This is 2 minutes and 20 seconds into the iPad Go-To video, and we see a figure here. Now, some of the people who have done breakdowns on this before, they call this Osama bin Laden, and many other things. But I want you to understand that this is what they call the Dajjal. This is the Muslim religion's Christ figure. And you can associate that with whoever you want. Um, I'm going to break down what I believe and the things that have been presented to me within the codes, especially. Um, but I want to present how this begins right here in this image, because it plays into the things that have been shown to me and also the timing of these events. So, first, this image that's shown to us here with the partial eclipse, I believe, is September the 21st, 2025. And if you look at the beard of the Dajjal, you will also see the same exact image that's on the Christ figure in this movie. This is the image of a comet, and many are associating this with Three-Eye Atlas. Number one, it makes perfect sense because in the scenes with the so-called Christ, we see the pyramid above his third eye, and we see the comet also at his chin, and that location on the back of the head is the atlas bone. And there are some great videos by some watchmen that have been breaking this three-eye atlas sign down, and I am in 100% agreement with them that this is being shown to us as three-eye atlas. And if you look at where Three-Eye Atlas was on September the 21st, 2025, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. And I don't have the time to go back and show those things, but if you have access to Stellarium or any of the star programs, then jump on September the 21st, 2025, and look at the location of Three-Eye Atlas. And we also know that Three-Eye Atlas was discovered I believe, in summer of 2025. and it could have been in the spring, but I believe it was in summer of 2025. And if you have that information, drop it in the comments. I didn't pull that up in my research, so from my understanding, I remember getting all of the information about this comet in summer of this year. So, what I'm seeing here in this image is what I would consider as the rise of the Dajjal, the Muslim Antichrist. In our Christian religion, we show that as the Antichrist. In the Muslims' faith, they believe that this is their Christ figure. And I want everybody to remember back to when President Obama was in power. And I want you to remember his statement that he made about going to all 57 states. And at the time that he made this statement, people were laughing at him, saying, "Look, this guy does not even know how many uh, states there are in America. He's obviously doesn't have his history down, etc., etc." People were making fun of him for that statement. But I want you to understand, and you can go do your research on this on your own. But there are 57 Muslim nations around the globe. And I believe that Obama went to every single one of these nations and presented himself as the Dajjal. And if you see what's happening with Barack Obama right now, he has moved out of the United States and he has moved into England and he has taken up a seat in the house of the Lords. And they there in England are protecting him under the power of the crown. And I want everybody to do a little bit of research on that because that's going to become very important in the very, very near future. So I wanted to start here with this image because I believe September the 21st, 2025 was when these events began with this second 911 event that we're seeing being played out because that's what this video is all about. It's all about the coming destruction of America and the fall of the current order, the financial collapse, and the attack on our country. And these are very, very, very serious things. And in order for us to be led in the right directions, we need to be able to see these things in the heavens and be able to decode the meaning. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the events that happened on September the 21st, 2025. These are the significant events that included the partial solar eclipse. Now, I want you to pay attention to, we're going to go back quickly and we're going to look at a very specific, uh, give me 1 second. I've got to try to find this. Um, Sorry, fam. The way this video works, it causes some issues for me trying to locate these things. So, this is a very, very, very important piece of the puzzle that led me to this understanding of this eclipse date. Okay? So, I want to go back. I want you to just look at this image that happens right before this image. And I can't, I don't want to play this and get copyright strikes or have any issues. But right before this image of the Dejal, we see this picture at 217 of them on ice. And I want you to look at this information here. And a partial solar eclipse occurred with an eclipse magnitude of 0.8550 visible in the South Pacific Ocean and Antarctica. Okay, so we can see how this event is showing us the eclipse, the partial solar eclipse from Antarctica. This is September the 21st, 2025. Now let's move forward. What are the political developments? The Gaza Biennale showcased the work of 30 artists from the Gaza Strip and the Greek Pavilion. Additionally, the UK and Portugal announced their recognition of a Palestinian state, coinciding with the upcoming UN General Assembly, where the nations were also expected to follow suit. Cyber attacks on airports. A significant cyber attack caused chaos at airports, leading to disruptions in travel and operations. This incident raised concerns about cybersecurity and the vulnerabilities of critical infrastructure. International observances. September 21st is recognized as the International Day of Peace. A United Nations commissioned global holiday aimed at promoting peace and nonviolence. It is also celebrated as World Gratitude Day, encouraging people to express thankfulness and foster connections. Okay, family. If we can't see the connections with these events and this so-called leader coming out of Antarctica. Now, this is a deep dive that you can go do on your own. Many have said that Antarctica is the location where the Draco have an underground base and rule the world from. So we're being shown the Draco constellation tied to this September the 21st partial solar eclipse. Okay, for those of you who have been following this channel for a while, I want you to remember back to my series, Apophis Strikes. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen any of those Apophis Strikes video, then I believe it's important for you to go back and watch those videos because they are going to give you the basis of what I'm going to be presenting here. And I really don't want to have to go through all of that information again. I'm going to just touch on very specific points. I have a whole bunch of bullet points, and we're just going to fire them out. And it's going to be up to you, the body, to take this information and to do your own research. Get involved. Prove these things out for yourself. This is the time that we need to drop everything in life that we think is important, and we need to become focused because the things that are about to transpire are going to change the entire face of this globe. And it's all about to transpire, and we don't have any more time. We are literally on the cusp of all of these events breaking down. I believe we may begin to see serious things start to happen tomorrow. And what I want to do is I want to be able to prepare everyone's hearts for the potential of these things beginning. And if you have a grasp, an understanding of these things from this spiritual perspective, you'll be prepared. So let's dig into this. And I want you all who have seen Apophis Strikes to remember all the things that I have presented about this Apophis figure. Okay, so we're going to jump into Stellarium quickly. Here we are. We're looking at September the 21st, 2025. And I want to point out some very important messages in the heavens. First, we're looking at the partial eclipse in the constellation of Virgo. And in this constellation, we see asteroid Leviathan at the harvest sign. Now we can go in, and Vendamatrix star is the sheaf. You can notice that Virgo is holding a sheaf in her hands. Well, on September the 21st, we see Leviathan align here with the sheaf. We also have multiple comets that are right here by Spica and Mars. We have C2025 R2 Swan and C2025 K1 Atlas. Now, both of these comets are vitally important for us to grasp the scene and understand that we are getting very serious messages. These messages are pointing us. Forgive me, fam. I'm trying to. Oh, I didn't know this, and I'm just learning this right now. I saw a glitch in the matrix. Okay, this is C2025K1 Atlas, and I am just learning right now that these are three different comets traveling together. You have K1, K1C, and K1B. And this is important because now we have Swan and three other Atlas comets. This is four comets pointing to the Virgo constellation. At the same time, asteroid Leviathan is at the harvest sign. So this is very important star code presenting to us this image here of the rise of the Dijal on September the 21st during the partial solar eclipse. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to go back and we're going to watch this motion of Leviathan through the constellation of Virgo. We're going to just take this time to move through the heavens, and we're going to be watching Leviathan move through the heavens. And now we're going to be looking at this dates here. And I want everyone to pay attention to, if you have seen my videos on the Escape of the Bride, Decode 12, then you know that what we're looking at is, uh, let's just do this quickly. We are looking at all of these planetary bodies being inside of the tabernacle constellation of Sagittarius. And we have all of these planetary bodies that are inside of the constellation here being presented to us. And then we have Leviathan here moving into the foot of the bride. And then we can watch Comet 24P Shomas moving through the heavens, pointing out Leviathan. So we're going to go ahead and move back. We also see Comet Shomas marking the. All we have to do is look at Shomas that's marking the sheaf. Its journey goes directly above the sheath as if to mark the sheath. And then it makes its alignment down here with Leviathan at the foot of the bride. And we can, let's center up on, and it looks as though this alignment is happening in the middle of February. We all know what this date is. This is Leviathan and 24p show mass aligning at the foot of the bride. And this is all very important information. If you've seen my series that I did at the foot of the bride, this is also tied to those signs. If you remember the Revelation 12 sign, it was the moon below the feet of the Virgin. Now we see Leviathan there. And Leviathan is the great dragon, Draco. And it is pointing directly to all the signs that we're looking at. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Spica, and we're going to be jumping around. So you're going to have to put all this together. I don't have an order. It just came to me, and I made all my points based on the things that came to me and how they came to me. So forgive me, fam. There's not going to be a lot of order to this. I'm just going to jump around and show uh, what was presented and the things that came into this research. So we're going to focus on Spica. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, then you know how important Spica is to my research. This is the harvest star. It is also aligned with the birth canal of the Virgin or the Maiden. All the planets that come across this line here, you can see that this section of Virgo from Parima to Spica, we see this as the womb of the maiden. And then this line going up from Spica is what we would call the birth line. And as the planets come in and out, like we saw with Jupiter for the Revelation 12 sign, we know Jupiter crossed this birth line on September the 9th of 2017. And then on September the 23rd, the moon aligned underneath the foot of Virgo. And that was our match for Revelation 12 sign. So now what we're doing is we're putting a focus on Spica in this time, and we're going to go to the ending scene, and we're going to be looking at some very important images that are really important for us to understand about this, what we're being shown. Okay, forgive me, fam. This is a difficult job trying to get these things to come up. Okay, so we're taken to this image here of these gargoyles, and we are shown some very specific things. Number one, his eyes are as stars. So I want you to understand that this is pointing to a star. And then we're going to be seeing how this is this Christ figure coming out of this womb, the image of a womb. So this is a womb and a birthing. And there's been many watchmen who have correctly determined this over the years. We have seen a lot of people present this correctly as a birthing event. And if you have seen my videos on Apophis stripes, then you know that this is a solar bark. That this is a representation of the Egyptian mystery religion. And if we don't understand that Egyptian mystery religion, then we will make grand mistake on decoding what is being presented to us. So the first thing that we have to understand is that this Christ figure, now we've already seen the image of the Dajjal, and this is not being presented to us as the Dajjal. This is the Christian Christ presented to us here in this image. Now, they are using Egyptian religion to show this, we'll call it a so-called Christ figure, because I believe that this is two parts. If you've been with me for a while, then you know I've said this many times. There is a requirement for these magic boards and for magic spells and for everything associated with magic. The dark side must encode the truth within their deception. It's required. They are not allowed to do it any other way. And so those who have the ability to decode what's being presented can find the truth on the flip side. And those that are doing the work to decode this, their hearts are trying to present this for the body of Messiah as a protection against the coming catastrophe. against the second 911 here in America. And I believe these events are just about to transpire. So, what I'm going to show here is a very important sign. Number one, we see this so called Christ figure coming through a birth canal. And he's in a solar bark. This solar bark has at its head Anubis. Anubis is the guardian of the gates. Anubis is at the bridge between worlds. Anubis is the ferryman associated with death, rebirth, and afterlife. Now, one of the things we see as this Christ figure comes out is the lotus flower. And this lotus flower begins to bloom. And this Christ figure is shown to us on fire. And this is a representation of the guardian of the scales of Ma'at. And if you're not familiar with the goddess Ma'at, then it's a worthy dive to go in and actually understand what this Egyptian goddess is. There are correlations between what we're being shown and this Ma'at figure. We have to back up here. If you look on the chest of Christ figure, we see a heart. We can see that. I believe it's. Forgive me, fam. I'm not sure if they show it. Let me go find this right here. And I'm gonna have a problem. There we go. Okay, so we have this Christ figure, and he has a upside down pyramid, and at the peak of the pyramid, the heart comes out. And this is all about Ma'at. And Ma'at is said to be the judge of the dead. And at the time of death, the heart is weighed on the scales. And there is a feather placed on one side of the scale, and your heart is placed on the other side. And your heart or love is weighed on the scales of Ma'at. And this is Anubis who delivers this dead person to the scales of Ma'at. And so when we see this boat here with Anubis at the front, we're looking at the solar bark delivering this individual to the scales of Ma'at. And there is a book called the Book of Gates. And if you look that up and do some research, you'll understand what I'm talking about here. Again, if I dig into each of these things, my video will be 5 hours. And so this is a call to everyone watching that it's in order for you to prove these things out, you're going to have to do your own research. So look up the Book of Gates and then do your homework on Ma'at and Anubis. Go watch Apophis Strikes again. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch that series because it's going to be an eye opener on what is happening here in this iPet Goat 2 video. Now, one of the things that I believe this is what we call the New Year portal. And um, we're being presented a portal, a canal of birth, and the solar bark. If you're familiar with um, what I presented in Apophis Strikes, then this is all about the solar bark. And if you're familiar with the solar bark and the story of the solar bark, it is the story of the sun's transition through the Mazzaroth or the zodiac. And the solar boat takes the sun, which is being presented to us here, the sun, the Christ figure, is in this solar bark. But we're being presented this solar bark in a completely different color than traditionally presented, which is gold. And this boat is black. And there are multiple ways to decode this image. For a long time, I struggled with understanding why this boat is black. Now, at first, I associated it with death and resurrection because of Anubis. But as I began to decode this more and more, I began to understand that this was Spica, the star Spica, as the birth canal. This is the star Spica being shown to us. And we saw with the Revelation 12 sign, Jupiter, the planet Jupiter is the king, is a representation of Christ, and it came through that Spica birthing canal. And what I have found with this iPet Goat 2 video and also using Stellarium, I have found that this bark is the moon bark. And Christ is shown to us in two ways. The sun and the moon. Because we are the body of Christ, the bride. And we know that at eclipses, we we see a very specific thing shown to us. Forgive me, fam. I hate that part of this video. It just disgusts me, and I'm really sorry if you had to look at that. But I'm trying to find, this is the most difficult part. Here it is. I'm sorry, it was on the wrong side. So this image here, again, I believe this is Spica being shown to us. And again, it's the exact same scene repeated to us. In my next breakdown in part 3, we're going to go into the magic boards and how this video is broken down into multiple parts. They're actually showing the same thing. It's not a front to back video that I can see so far. There is a potential that each of these scenes showing this um, bark coming through this birthing is showing us a different timing of the moon coming through the spica star at the birthing canal. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to stellarium. We're focused here on spica. And we're going to go back and we're going to be looking at a couple different events here. Here is event 1. And I believe that this coming sign is potentially one of these events here in this video. And you can see that there is a birthing shown to us, and this solar bark is shown here in this image as a ring of fire eclipse. And the entire figure has been lit on fire as the ring of fire eclipse. Now, I see this as the coming February 17th wedding ring eclipse in 2026. And I believe that this is the closing of this sign through the canal or the spica. We are going to see the moon transition through spica. And let's go ahead and go. I didn't plan on doing this, but let's look at, we're going to go to the moon quickly, and we're going to show you this 217, and we're going to be looking here. This is the February 17th eclipse happening in Aquarius. Now we can go back here And we are looking at, let's do this because this plays into this. If we look at this event, now I'm not going to play the video. You can go back to 4 minutes. Let's see. I think you should probably start right here at 4:10 and watch this transition through this until right before Kali starts dancing. And I want you to pay close attention to the floor in here coming out of this womb. And I want you to pay attention to the water. And this representation to me is Aquarius. And this eclipse happening in Aquarius to me seems like this event that we see happening here with this solar bark, and then we can see the image of a wedding ring eclipse. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go back because we're talking about the ending scene of I Pet Goat. Now remember, I said that there are multiple magic boards that are stacked on top of each other, presenting different timelines, but they're showing us the same thing over and over again, which is a birthing event. So, based on the ending scene, let's go ahead and go to this ending scene. We're looking at this. I want to get it to the very beginning here. Okay, so we're presented this Christ figure. He has the three eye and the atlas on his chin. And one of the things that you'll notice is that he's in bondage. He has a a crown of, we'll call it a crown of thorns. And at this point here, let's see, it's actually just right here. Okay, so at 6 minutes and 3 seconds into this video, we see an image presented to us on his left from our perspective. We see the womb. Now again, to me, this is Spica. We see the church coming out of the womb. Now, this is very, very important information. This is going to take a minute to disclose and to present what I have found and what I've seen and the things that I've been shown for years and years and years. I mean, years. I began studying the Dead Sea Scrolls over 20 years ago. I discovered the Nag Hammadi Library over 15 years ago, and I have been studying all of these as extracurricular work to decode and discover the things that are within all of these books. I've been studying ancient religion for the majority of my adult life. Um, Not as if I was trying to um, understand those religions, but from my perspective, we are supposed to be as wise as serpents, and even Paul said that he became all things to all men for the glory of Christ. And if we don't know what these people believe, how are we able to lead them to Messiah? We won't be able to. They're gonna laugh. They're gonna laugh and laugh and laugh because you have no ammunition to tear down their walls. And so I began to study all of these ancient religions so that I had the ability to defend my faith. And this began when I was in my early 20s, when I entered into apologetics school. And that was when I was in my early 20s, and I'm older than 55 now, and so I've been doing this for a very long time. And one of the things that I understand about this image is it's presenting to us the harlot. This is the beast Christian church. And this is shown to us here in this image beginning to crumble. And this is the church falling. And if you notice this image at 6 minutes, he still has this crown of thorns as if he is being shown to us as the body of the church. And then remember, we are the body of Messiah. Now we see that there is no bondage, and the church begins to fall. And as he begins to move away, the church has completely and utterly crumbled. And this to me is a, a great awakening of what has transpired in our world um, beginning in the 3rd century AD with the Catholic Church, the Roman beast taking over the Christian religion. And now we see this new Pope, Leo, and we see what is happening on the scene with this Pope. The news that has come out about what this Pope is doing already is absolutely mind blowing. If you're not paying attention to that, you need to get on that and go hunt for the signs of this beast religion, because we're looking at the fall of the harlot. And I want to challenge every single person who calls themselves a Christian. This is a challenge. Martin Luther, the, the Protestant reformer, when he nailed those letters to the door of the Catholic Church, one of the things that he wrote in those letters is that the Catholic Church is the mother of the Protestant Church. And so he has tagged the entirety of the Protestant movement as the daughters of the harlot. And we should expect this religion to align with the beast religion. And what do we see? If you're not paying attention to what's happening with Charlie Kirk, if you're not paying attention to what's happening with Donald Trump, with JD Vance, with Erica Kirk, if you're not watching the channels that are breaking down the conspiracy of this so-called murder, then you are being tricked by this beast religion, because they have played the biggest psyop in all of American history. And from what I see, the majority of this beast church buys it. They're lapping it up, and they are making out this woman, Erica, as a hero, and that she is now like the queen of this movement. And all we have to do is go back to the very beginning of this video, and we see a very specific image presented to us, family. And there are multiple Watchman channels that are now pegging this image right here with Erica Kirk. And I believe she is directly involved. Both of her parents are involved with Israel. Her father helped to build the Iron Dome. Her mother is heavily involved in AIPAC. And we are looking at a beast religion. So now let's go quickly, and we're going to show you the ending scene. First, let's go back to this ending scene. And what we see here after this bark comes, this is immediately after the bark has come out of this womb. Now remember, this is the final scene. And in this final scene, we see this image of the sun. And in our last one, we talked about how on the right here, we're looking at the shield. And above the shield, we're looking at the eagle. And on the left, we're looking at the constellation of Scorpius. And this is the lunar bark coming out of the Spica constellation. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to move back and we're going to be looking at this Spica star, and we're going to be looking for our determination on the days when this moon transitions through the birth canal, which is to cross the Spica line. So I found the dates that are the two closest dates associated with this Spica and the ending scene. So we're going to get into the details of that. I'm sorry, fam. This is not going to be a short video because I'm only about 3/4 of the way through. So here we go. We see right here at 8:09 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on 12/14 in 4 days. We see our first alignment with Spica here in December. And what we're going to do is we're going to compare this sign to the ending scene here. And this shows us, from my perspective, this is my understanding. Some people say that this looks like the sun in Scorpio. But I don't agree with that, and the reason is that I see this on the right as the Golden Gate, the Milky Way. And if this was being shown to us in the constellation of Scorpio, let's go ahead and do this. If the sun was in the constellation of Scorpio, let's look at the constellation of Scorpio, and let's go ahead and move the sun back to the position of Scorpio. Okay, so this is the sun in Scorpio beginning here on 11/22, and it transitions to 11/30. And then it enters into Ophiuchus. And today, the sun is in the snake bearer constellation, not Scorpius. And even if we turn this around and we look at forgive me, fam. This is always a difficult job because you have to turn this upside down in order to get the right view, and it always does this flip on me. Okay, we're going to just have to look at it a different way because it's going to take a lot of time. So, first thing I want to present is let's just look at this from a close view. The first thing that I want everyone to recognize is this scutum field constellation and the Aquila constellation. Now, both of these two constellations are directly on the side of the Milky Way. And the constellation of Serpens is on the other side of the Milky Way. And in this image, it looks to me as though the sun has passed this golden gate of the Milky Way. And it is just beyond Scutum and Aquila. The eagle is on top, and the shield is here. And this is the Milky Way that we're being shown here on the right. And we can see that as the Milky Way going through the ecliptic here, the center of the Milky Way goes directly between the constellation of Sagittarius and Ophiuchus. And so I believe that the sun has to transition across this golden gate. And I believe we're looking at somewhere in this zone would be the earliest. This right here is our earliest time that we are seeing this image, with the sun having just passed the gate. And we can even see this, what is considered ice, because this all is being shown to us as ice. But we can see this as the sun is aligning in this, it looks like a gate. And it has a pointer directly to the shield and the eagle. And the sun is not inside. If the sun was inside of the gate, then it would be shown to us with the sun inside of the gate. But we're looking at the sun being past the gate. And this, I believe this date here of December the 30th or December the 31st would be our earliest time that we would see this happening with this image. So what I did is I went back and I looked at this. Let's go ahead and go back to the moon. And we're going to pull up the moon and we're going to transition back to the 14th. When we see this spica alignment. And if we look at this moon as the lunar bark, and it's bringing the bride to the wedding, then all we got to do is watch this bride transition to the new moon alignment. Let's go ahead and look at this. This is right here. This is the moon entering into the bow of Sagittarius. Now, if you've been with me for a while, you know this is, I've shown this as the boat, the arc. The bow of Sagittarius can also be looked at as a boat from the side, and the line going into the tabernacle can be looked at as the deck of the boat. Now you can also look at the tabernacle of Sagittarius as a boat with three masts. And that's looking at it from a front view instead of a side view. You can also see that this looks not only like the tabernacle, but it is also like a great ship in the heavens with three masts. And here on 1220, we see the moon or the bride transition into the ark or the boat. And this is the new moon alignment on 1220, just after midnight Pacific time. So this is one of our dates. Let's go ahead and go back to 1214 because this is where we're seeing this alignment here. And this is the moon at Spica. And this is the earliest that I could ever see this happening. But again, uh, the sun has to be past this golden gate. And if we look at 1214, the sun has not even entered the gate here. It's still in Ophiuchus, and it won't transition until the 16th or the 15th. So let's go ahead and look at that here. The sun comes across here on 1214. At the end of the day, we see 1215, just after midnight. We have the sun transitioning into the gate. But again, based on what I'm seeing here, the sun is past the golden gate. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to the moon. And what we're going to do is we're going to go forward 1 month. And we're going to go back to the next alignment with the Spica star. And so now here we are again with our alignment. I want you to notice something very important. This meridian alignment is past the Spica star. And the one in December on the 14th is before the Spica star. So here we are, we're looking at this image of the bride of Christ past the harvest star, the birthing star. We can call that the womb star. And we're looking at this exit of the womb. Okay? And it transitions. This is the final scene. It transitions to a point where we're looking at, okay, what is happening here? We're looking at this very end, and it is presenting to us the sun past the Golden Gate and past Scutum and past Aquila, which is the Golden Gate. It's all in the gate. So let's look here. Now, as this is happening, let's go to the sun. So now we're looking at the sun on this date as the moon. Let's just go and we're going to scroll back and we're going to look at this. You can see Aquila and Scutum, and the Golden Gate is all the way up to about where Mercury is. This is the outside of the Golden Gate. On the opposite side is begins right as the ecliptic transitions across the leg of Ophiuchus. So we're looking at the two sides of the Golden Gate. We're looking at the transition through the tabernacle, and on the other side, the transition out of the huppah. And this is the crossing of the gate. Well, the sun is on just on the other side of the gate. So let's take a look at that. We can see Scutum and Aquila and the Golden Gate. And again, you can see these images. It looks as though the edge of the gate goes right along the wing of Sagittarius. Well, the sun's just past that point. And what we're going to do quickly is we're going to show some more proofs of this. This is Comet Weir shows. And I want to point out here in this video, I'm hoping to be able to get this up. This is really difficult to get this in the right position. This is it's been the hardest part of being able to do this, is this part here. So I want you to notice what just came out of the sun. Okay, right here. This image right here. I believe I found it on Stellarium. I believe what we're looking at here is Comet Weir shows and Comet Lemon, because we're shown multiple images. Uh, a couple of them look like asteroids and a couple of them look like comets. And so I found Comet Weir shows, and hopefully this will come up. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. So it's very important to see this alignment here, because this is directly aligning with the image. This is directly aligning with this image. We're just going to bring it up to the midnight hour. We're close enough here because it's being shown to us multiple different ways. But we have the alignment of C2025 A6 Lemon on transitioning from the 11th to the 12th of January. And that right here in the image is being shown to us as a comet going through this tail of Sagittarius. Pay attention to the location, fam. This is Comet Lemon going through the tail of Sagittarius. Okay? We can see that here. Watch the sun and weir shows and lemon as I transition through these days. Watch. Okay, now we see the sun transitioning into that position. We see comet weir shows coming around the backside of the sun and then coming into a position where we can see it. So I believe here at the very beginning, let's go ahead and let's see if we can. Okay, in the very beginning, we see also the same repeated sign in the beginning. We see this comet again. And if we watch it, there's another body that comes out. Another one strikes the temple. And in my opinion, we are talking about weir shows because weir shows is the comet that strikes the tabernacle. And we can see that here on 12:30 we have comet weir shows striking the tabernacle. And the tabernacle can be seen as a pyramid. This is the Father's house in the heavens. This is comet weir shows, and that is, I believe, the hit on this temple. And we can see that here on 12:29. Comet weir shows hits the temple, and then we have lemon. I'm going to have to go in closer. Hopefully it doesn't cut us off from lemon. There we go. So now we have Comet Lemon, and we can see how that happens right after Weir Shows hits the tabernacle. And we're looking at the 11th into the 12th. Now, for those of you who have seen my celestial Hanukkah menorah, then you know how important all of this is, because January the 11th in 2024 was the center shamash candle of all of the solar and lunar eclipses going forward and backwards in time. That was one of the greatest signs ever discovered. And I was already working on the day counts on both sides of of these things, looking at the dates, but I didn't even go close to, I believe it was Constantine, um, uh, I could be wrong, but I believe it was one of uh, I forgot the channel name. I'm sure somebody will post it in the description. But I believe that this celestial Hanukkah menorah was discovered by somebody by goes by the name of Constantine, and this was done in an iPet 2 Goat 2 breakdown, and they were looking at um, they were looking at the codes, and there was a discovery made of the eclipse patterns. And I was already working on, you can go back and look at my videos for the last 4 years. I was already breaking down eclipse patterns and codes, um, and I believe that I was presenting some information that allowed multiple channels to begin to discover these patterns. And once I saw what was presented, I immediately knew that it was tied to the work I was doing. And so, what I'm presenting to you is, I believe that the Maseroth Hanukkah is closer to the this ending scene and these codes than what we see with December the 14th, because of where the positioning of the sun is. Weir shows is in transition to Sagittarius, but it's not in Sagittarius, and it's not close to the tabernacle. And then Comet Lemon, let's do that again real quick, just so you can see. Comet Lemon is it's in the Scorpius constellation, but it hasn't transitioned across the tail. And so, based on my findings with this video and all of the codes that we've seen, I believe that what we're looking at is at the transition between the 10th of January and the completion of what we found with the escape of the bride, which is all of these guests within the wedding. Remember, this Sagittarius constellation is the house of the Father, and in order for us to have our celestial wedding, everybody has to be in the house. And so let's go to Mercury, and Mercury enters the tabernacle on the 5th. So we can see it transition between 9 and 10 on the 5th. That's Pacific time. Now we have the final piece of the puzzle. The messenger has entered into the tabernacle. We've seen Weir shows strike the tabernacle. Now all of the guests are transitioning into the house of the Father. We can see Mercury make its transition into the rest of the guests, and now we see the moon arrive on the final day of Maseroth Hanukkah. Now we have all of the guests here in the house of the Father, and they are all going to make a transition into the house of the sun, the bridegroom. And Capricorn is that constellation of the new temple, the new Jerusalem, the heavenly tabernacle of the sun. Remember, Sagittarius is the house of the father, and in his backyard, he builds a temple for the son and the bride. And we see the moon transition to the wedding on the, we can even go back to the 17th. Let's, I think we can go back to there we go. Let's just see it from this position here on the 16th. On the 16th, here we see the moon enter. Here on the 16th, it enters into the Father's house. And this is the tabernacle of the Father. This is the bride coming into the wedding feast. And now we see the new moon alignment. And we have the moon on the 18th in the middle of the day. Now all of the wedding guests are gathered together. And we're going to go ahead and cut it here. We're at an hour and 40 minutes. I know this was a very, very long decode. I actually have more, but I'm going to bring it out in the next video. I had to get as much out as I could, and I hope that this greatly blesses everyone who watches. And if you have any information or questions, please put those in the comments. And I normally don't ask for interaction with thumbs up, liking this video, but I'm trying to get this out to as many people. I am extremely shadow banned on this channel and have been from the very beginning. They just shut down everything on this channel because of the type of work this is. And they do not want this out. And this is going to take the body of Messiah to take the time, do the research. If this aligns with your spirit and your soul, then I'm asking you to help me to spread this word. So much love. Thanks for coming, and we'll be back very soon. I have multiple other decodes that I'm going to be doing on this final scene decoded, and I have multiple other videos that I am hoping to get out before these things really start to transpire. I'm just starting to get back on my feet. I'm starting to feel good again. I'm starting to actually be able to breathe correctly. I didn't have any coughing fits or hacking in this video, and to me that's a miracle. So thank you for your prayers, and thank you for everyone who commented. I appreciate every single one of you in this body, and we're here doing this work together. So um, please put your comments or questions in the comment section, and let's work to get this information out. Much love.